looking forward to the best Christmas ever, filled with fun, smiles, and laughter.
So I just came from watching Terrifier 3, the third installment in the Terrifier franchise. Can I just mention that before Terrifier 3, I had never watched the other two films. So I watched those two films before I watched this one. In my opinion, this film has the best opening. It's a bit cliche, but to me, it has the best opening. This is going to be a non-spoiler review of this film. There's this one scene where Art the clown and his girl are seated in the train, and this one person says, "I love your costumes, you guys are killing it." clever pun. I noticed there's a bit of like insertion of humor in the movie, especially Art has always been a clown, but he has also done a lot of like mime stuff. So here they lean into it more, and there's a bit of like comedy in some scenes, which I felt actually does work. It's not overdone. I like that. Can I just mention this movie has no respect for human anatomy? I think even in the second movie I noticed it. With scenes where Art just grabs someone and tears them, especially like the human face. The human skull is very strong. So I know Art is not necessarily human. In fact, in this movie they dive like into his backstory. I'm not going to explain it because that would be spoilers. But tearing into someone's face just like that, you're ignoring how hard this thing is. This skull is not like cake, Anyway, it's a movie. It's fine. If you watched Terrifier 2, this movie does a whole flashback to show how Art, the clown, comes back. At least they bother to kind of explain it and show you how he comes back. And obviously we have Sienna, who survived the second film. Sienna now lives with the uncle because the mom died in the second film, and the brother is off to college. The college side of the story is a bit underwritten, but let's be real. Does anyone watch these gore films because we want deep character writing? It surprises me how much Art the clown can say without really talking. There's this one scene in Terrifier 3 where he walks like into a bar and he finds this dude in a Santa Claus costume, and Art doesn't say anything, but the way he expresses himself, he has like a full-blown conversation with these guys without talking, just miming and being like, they're doing all that stuff. I found that to be pretty funny, that he can have a whole conversation with you guys without saying a single word. And the the clown scenes are very good. I just dislike the way the movie has to keep like cutting to Art and then cutting back to Sienna and then Art and then back to Sienna. It kind of kills the pacing. I wish there was a way the screenplay could flow in which you didn't show Art doing one thing and then they cut to Sienna doing something completely unrelated. I get that they have to do character work on Sienna, the uncle, the aunt, the niece, and the brother, but I wish there was a more natural way to do it, because when you just hard cut to them, it kind of kills the pacing, in my opinion. The acting has really improved, especially Sienna, even in the opening scene. There's a way someone is supposed to react when Art shows them, "Hey, look, I have just torn apart your loved one." There's a way someone is supposed to react. In the first movie looked like this low budget film that was shot on like my phone. like a YouTuber produced the whole thing. In the second movie, it was a bit better. The quality of everything had improved, including lighting, editing. But in this third film, the acting especially has really gone up. The way people react. Like there's this one scene where Sienna, she freaks out because she knows that Art is coming for her. Art the clown is coming for her. Her reaction is insanely good. Like her acting is really good. And I like the fact that this movie addresses the trauma of surviving a horror movie. you as the viewer, you're watching Art the Clown tear people, disembody people, do all sorts of these things. So you can imagine in real life, if someone was to actually watch these things happen and survive the whole thing, how much trauma they would have. Especially someone like Sienna, she already was struggling with mental health, and then now she has to sort of deal with this entire trauma. The movie takes place like 5 years later after the second film, but still in those 5 years, she's very much struggling. And there's this one scene I should mention where some chick from the brothers' campus, Sienna's brother, I don't remember his name, but Sienna's brother is in campus. So some girl from there, she has a podcast, and she's like, "Oh, I would really love to interview Sienna and the brother," and she's like a groupie because, "Oh my God, you are in the presence of Art the Clown," but she doesn't understand how surviving Art the Clown is such a traumatic experience. And I like the fact that the movie highlights this because, I mean, personally in my life, I work in radio. I'm a DJ. So I work in radio, and there's a time in radio I knew some guys who had survived a really traumatic event, something famous that happened here in my country. So I knew that these dudes were survivors of that event, and I remember, like wanting to interview them about it and wanting to hear their perspective. But because I was sensitive, I know it's a touchy subject, I didn't approach it. So I like the fact that in this movie they show the insensitivity of some people. They can't empathize with what the victims of Art the Clown, what they go through, and especially when they survive the whole thing. Get to see backstory of Sienna's daddy issues, because there's a lot of stuff that has really fucked up because of what happened with her dad. It's mentioned in the second movie, but in this third movie it's also fleshed out. It's also fleshed out why Art the Clown can't die. It's also fleshed out about that girl who her face was disfigured, her role in the second film, how it ended. If you watch the second film like me, and you watched the ending and you are like, WTF, what is this? It's more fleshed out here. This movie does character work much better than the second one. The second film, they tried to do character work, and for me it felt kind of flat, but here they do it so much better. Why? Because of character relations. In the first one, they were trying to do character relations between Sienna, the mom, and the bro, and it was kind of generic for me. But in this one, they do character relations between Sienna, uncle, the aunt, and it kind of plays out really well. And can I just mention that there are some really creative ways that Art the Clown kills people in this movie. Really creative. Like, whoever wrote this script really took the time to think about creative ways to murder victims in the movie. So out of 10, this movie gets a 7 in my opinion. I give the first movie a 6. I give the second one like a 4, because I didn't like the way it ended. It had so many things happening that felt so random, and I didn't like the character work. But this one I could give it maybe like a 7 or even a 7.5. It takes its gore really high. So yeah, maybe let me give it a 7.5. This film, the third film. If you've enjoyed my review, make sure to smash like and subscribe. Tell me what you thought of this film if you've watched it. On this screen, I'll leave other reviews for horror films that you should definitely check out if you haven't seen them yet. Non-spoiler reviews for all of them. I'll see you in the next one.